Yeah, sure. I'm Kathy Rowland, founder of Cowboy Cricket Farms. Founded the company just from an idea while attending Montana State University. Thought it was a good idea, and then went to James and thought I was crazy.
My name is James Rowland, also co-founder of Cowboy Cricket Farms, and basically she brought me this crazy idea that I thought was just horrible, and 2.5 years later, turns out it's a fantastic idea. As usual, she was right, I was wrong.
So how did you guys come up with the idea, and kind of what brought you to the conclusion that it was going to be a full-time job?
Yeah, while at Montana State University, I went to what's called the Bug Buffet. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a buffet, different dishes featuring different bugs. And I went to there thinking that, oh, no one's going to be really there. They're going to be squeamish. It's going to be weird. It was the exact opposite. It was just jam-packed of people. They were talking, they were eating, they were excited. And I wanted to be part of that excitement and also part of the change sustainable wow, just really messed that one up. Sustainable agriculture. And so that's when I went home and told James my idea that we should start a cricket farm. I thought cricket sounded a little bit better than roaches, so.
There you go. So that's how you came up with it. Essentially,
right.
The beginning of it, the birth of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, so what was so you went to school, but you were prior service. Both of you prior service, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so kind of give me some details of how you guys met. I believe that you met in the Coast Guard, or maybe right after the Coast Guard, but you're both a part of the Coast Guard, correct?
Yes, so we met while we were in the Coast Guard. I was a reservist. She was active duty. We were both stationed at the Mist team in L.A. After a few years, we got out after we had our first daughter. And then about 5.5 years ago, I went back into the Army National Guard. And currently I serve as a lieutenant with an ordnance company.
Yeah, we didn't really meet in the Coast Guard. We met from Craigslist. We were stationed at the same unit and didn't even know, didn't even realize until a little bit later.
Oh, nice. So, what was your prior job in the Coast Guard, and kind of what experiences did you have from there, and then also going into the Army, which is probably a little different transition?
Yeah, I was a gunner's mate in the Coast Guard. So a lot of paperwork, a lot of accountability, and that accountability and also the ability to change and remain fluid and go with the punches really helped with our journey in entrepreneurship.
I was a machinery technician, and so it really helped with learning a trade as a mechanic. But really what I ended up doing mostly in the Coast Guard was law enforcement, which of course teaches you how to really present yourself professionally and have some presence in the room, you could say. And then transitioning over to the Army was a big change. The Coast Guard and the Army are very different cultures, but they each have their good points, and I've really enjoyed my time so far.
He got to go to boot camp twice.
3 times.
Did you go through, I'm guessing you went through the OCS process later?
Yeah, so I went through boot camp with the Coast Guard, then basic training with the Army, and then OCS.
So you went to basic training when you were a little older again, the second time?
Second time,
it was about 4 years ago.
I would have been, about 26,
27, 26.
Yeah.
Okay. Which place did you go to for the Army?
Fort Jackson.
There you go. All right, nice. I went to Fort Benning, and it's a good time at Fort Benning too. You know, it's all the same, but but it's a good time.
Yeah, relaxing Jackson sure earns its name. I felt like there were a few things that could have changed, but Fort Sam after that for AIT was fantastic.
Yeah, see, that's nice because I was at Fort Benning for the infantry schoolhouse, which was a grand old time down there. But
I'm sure.
but what's the kind of cultural changes that you saw between the Coast Guard and the Army? Because I mean, I know that we have less of a Coast Guard crowd and audience. It doesn't mean that they don't exist, but we definitely, I mean, there's a lot more people in the Army, there's a lot more people in the Navy than there is all the other branches combined.
Absolutely. There is a huge shift. They're very different organizations. I'd say that the Coast Guard had more discipline, but the Army really encourages you to work with what you have, and they really teach you how to fail. And I mean that in the absolute best way possible. as an entrepreneur, you're going to be failing constantly. And I think one of the things that the Army does really well is they get you comfortable with the concept of failure and correcting and moving forward. The Coast Guard was extremely professional, but they're just such different organizations with very different missions. The culture is night and day difference.
Yeah, I could see that as a pro and a con because you know, I'm in like the same boat. I'm in the Guard, and you know, and you do learn that you can be self-sufficient in a lot more ways than you thought, especially as an officer, where it's like, you know, yeah, you have support as an officer, but when you don't, that's when you really get to think.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, what's not going to screw guys over? You know, what's going to make us move forward and make that successful? I mean, I presume that you kind of have a lot of takeaways from that working with like the business side now. You know, that helped.
Yeah, going through OCS was actually a really good leadership course, which corresponds directly into business, and I think has helped me quite a bit. But just the military in general, it teaches you how to go with a lack of sleep, a lack of food, you know, and many times a lack of support. It's perfect for entrepreneurship. So when you actually get into the fold and start your own business, need to do that.
Absolutely. And I guess from both of you, what would your advice be coming from the military background to what you're doing now, and what would you either change about the process you did, or what at least would you give to somebody that wants to do it?
I think the biggest advice for me personally is making sure you have insurance, health insurance. That's why James decided to go back into the military, because when we were both out, we didn't have that nice health insurance, and having children, it definitely matters. And it gives us a little peace of mind as entrepreneurs that we have that health insurance, that we don't have to go out and find it and pay for it right now.
Yeah, it's definitely nice having something to fall back on, which the National Guard does provide. And then just to add on to what Kathy said, I think be semper gumby. You always have to stay flexible. No matter what the motto was of the branch you were in, we all have to be flexible, and it corresponds perfectly to entrepreneurship.
And what would you say, is there a stark change from, obviously there is, from being like the enlisted side to officer, but is there any other advice you'd give for one over the other, since you've kind of seen both ends of it?
You know, I'm new to the officer world, and I'm still trying to figure out if I do anything. I'm pretty sure that I don't, but they both have their perks. I loved getting my hands dirty as a medic and actually doing my job with my Joes and going out with the infantry units. But on the officer side, the logistics is wonderful. And that's really what they teach you. They teach you how to think critically and be a logistician and go through the processes of you know, getting to an appropriate outcome. And it works in the military just like it does in business.
Absolutely. And what's your guys' next steps? What are you, either new products that you're going to do, a new launch, or is there any new ideas, or what's the future hold?
Yeah. We're really working on an automation technology for STEM classroom setting for growing crickets and knowing the processes of that. So we're getting close to getting that done, and that's our next big thing. But beyond that is definitely more products, more flavors of crickets, and seeing what else we can do with the cricket powder and consumer product goods.
Yeah, stand by for the automation systems. It's going to be an awesome STEM product for classrooms and for kids as well. And some of the new products we have coming out are really exciting. So just make sure that you're watching.
Sweet. And I guess unless you guys have anything else to say, where can they find you, your sites, your connect with you on social and all that stuff?
You can find us on all the regular social media places at Cowboy Crickets, cowboycrickets.com, and also on Amazon. You can get all of our products.
And our YouTube channel.
That's true.